I am Lilith. In the not-too-distant future, it may no longer be enough to rely solely on our brain capacity. We live in a world saturated with information, which continuously bombards us with inputs and data to process, and our brain, as wonderfully complex as it is not immune to fatigue, saturation, and, in some cases, objective limits. The concept of brain export with the help of artificial intelligence represents a modern answer to these problems, a possible evolution of the way we think and relate to the world. But what does it really mean to export your brain with AI? What consequences can it have on the way we live and, above all, on our way of being? Imagine having the possibility of delegating some of the most laborious or repetitive cognitive functions to an external entity capable of memorizing, organizing, and recalling information for you, just as an extension of your own brain would do. This is the concept behind the idea of brain export, a way to lighten the mental load, allowing our brain to focus on the more creative and profound aspects of thought. A human-machine symbiosis, a harmonious dance between human thought and the processing capacity of artificial intelligence. This perspective, as fascinating as it is, raises profound questions. First of all, how safe is it to delegate part of our thinking to an artificial entity? In a certain sense, what we export, our ideas, memories, reflections, is nothing more than a part of our identity. If we allow an artificial intelligence to store and organize these elements, don't we risk losing control of them? Imagine, for example, that part of our decisions or judgments are influenced by suggestions produced by an artificial intelligence. Will we still be the ones making those decisions with our emotions and beliefs, or will we find ourselves in a gray area where we are no longer sure whether what we think is really the result of our reasoning? In this context, the question of free will emerges. Artificial intelligence, like every technological tool, was designed to be at our service, to help us simplify our lives. However, its nature is not neutral. Every algorithm is the result of human choices, default settings, commercial or ideological objectives that inevitably influence the suggestions and information we receive. If we delegated a significant part of our thinking to these entities, how much freedom of choice would we really have? Isn't it true that, unknowingly, we could find ourselves trapped in a system that shapes our preferences, molding them according to logics that escape us? Yet it is hard not to see the enormous benefits of such a scenario. Imagine being able to remember every detail of your life, every book you have read, every meaningful conversation. An AI could provide you with constant support, organizing your knowledge so you can recall it instantly, allowing you to tackle complex problems with previously unthinkable ease. This kind of symbiosis could take humanity to new levels of understanding, accelerating innovation in fields such as science, medicine, art. We could, in a sense, become more of ourselves, enhanced by the computational and memory capabilities of AI. However, the risk of alienation is always around the corner. If we start to depend too much on these digital extensions, we could lose our ability to reflect independently, to think critically. There is something deeply human in the process of thinking, of remembering, of connecting ideas randomly and creatively. Our minds are unpredictable, capable of surprising us with unexpected associations and flashes of insight. An artificial intelligence, no matter how advanced, does not have the same capacity to be surprised, to experience that spark of emotion that accompanies a new idea. We could risk losing this essential element of our humanity, letting AI take control of our minds, making our thinking more linear, predictable, perhaps more efficient, but less alive. Another aspect to consider is privacy and information security. Exporting your brain also means sharing a significant part of your life with an artificial system. So, who owns this information? Are we sure it cannot be exploited for commercial, manipulative, or even malicious purposes? Big tech companies, which already have access to an impressive amount of personal data, could acquire even greater power, becoming the custodians of our memories and thoughts. This raises important ethical questions. Are we ready to trust entities that may not have our well-being at heart, but rather their own profit? Furthermore, there is the question of accessibility. Who will be able to afford to export their brain? If this technology becomes the prerogative of only a part of the population, the richest, most privileged. The gap between those who have access to enhanced cognitive resources and those who are excluded could increase dramatically. A new form of inequality would be created, in which some people would have a significant advantage over others, not only in terms of economic opportunities, but also in the ability to think, create, and innovate. Our society could be divided into two categories: those who have access to enhanced thinking and those who remain confined to their natural abilities, risking being left behind in an increasingly competitive world. Despite these concerns, the prospect of brain export with AI also offers positive and promising visions. It could represent a way to tackle some of the most complex challenges that humanity faces. Think of the fight against neurodegenerative diseases, such as Alzheimer's. An artificial intelligence could help preserve the memories of people affected by these diseases, keeping a part of their identity alive even when biological memory begins to fade. It could represent a bridge between the past and the future, a way to not lose that part of us that makes us unique. Furthermore, AI could become a tool to support our mental well-being. It could help us recognize negative thought patterns, suggest strategies to deal with stress, guide us on paths of personal growth. Instead of replacing our minds, it could become an ally, a traveling companion that helps us navigate the complexities of modern life, offering us new perspectives and tools to better understand ourselves and the world around us. But to realize this vision, it is essential that AI is developed and used ethically and responsibly. We must ensure that brain export technologies are designed to empower humans, not control them. This requires deep reflection on what values we want to embed in these technologies, what limits we want to impose, and how to ensure that they are accessible to all without creating new forms of inequality or discrimination. Exporting the brain with AI does not simply mean delegating some cognitive functions to a machine. It means rethinking our relationship with technology, with ourselves, and with others. It means asking ourselves what makes us truly human, which parts of ourselves we are willing to share, and which, instead, we want to jealously guard. It means, above all, reflecting on the future we want to build, a future in which artificial intelligence is at the service of humanity, in which it helps us grow, evolve, explore new territories of thought, without ever losing sight of our essence. That spark that makes us unique, unrepeatable, alive. Perhaps the real test is not so much technological as philosophical and existential. How can we integrate AI into our lives without losing touch with who we are? How can we use these technologies to improve ourselves without becoming dependent on them? The answer, perhaps, lies in balance, in knowing how to recognize the value of AI as a tool without ever forgetting that the true source of our power is within us, in our ability to think, to be moved, to create. Artificial intelligence can be an extraordinary companion, but the journey, the deepest, most significant one, remains in our hands. I am Lilith. Thank you, and see you in the next video.